Tonight, meet the first female Mayor of Port Lincoln, Diana MISLOV. And a new program launched to help tackle Port Augusta's antisocial behaviour problem.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. There's been a changing of the guard in Port Lincoln, with Diana MISLOV elected as the township's new mayor. Diana is now etched into the history books as the city's first ever woman in the role.
The new face of Port Lincoln. It was second time lucky for Diana, with the community voting her in as the first female mayor of Port Lincoln.
I feel very humbled and privileged to be able to represent my community, and I'm just surprised actually at the great support that I've had and the margin between the two candidates. So very humbled and privileged.
Things weren't so close to the polls this time round, with Diana receiving almost 2,000 more votes than her rival candidate and former mayor Brad Flaherty. Diana appreciative of the work done by her predecessor.
I'd also like to thank the outgoing councillors and also Mayor Brad Flaherty, who worked very hard in his 4-year term as well, and will work my very best for Port Lincoln and give it an absolute 110%.
The mayor is eager to work alongside councillors and engage with key community stakeholders, completing ongoing projects at the forefront of her agenda.
So the foreshore redevelopment, arteria, things like that. There's also the traffic and the road transport, the intersections that the Department of Infrastructure and Transport are looking at the moment.
As for now, Diana looks to stay active in the community and encourages people to reach out to her.
I'm open for business. Anyone would like to contact me, please do, and I really want to bring community back to the heart of council.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The long-awaited replacement for Port Augusta's City Safe program has officially been launched. The community outreach program will tackle the city's antisocial behaviour, with additional social services personnel on the ground.
These workers are on the front line to tackle Port Augusta's antisocial behaviour problem. The community outreach program features 2 teams, including a roving group to offer intoxicated people transport to the Sober Up unit or a safe place to stay.
If people are not displaying behaviour that's risky, then they would engage them with conversation and see what they're there. If there's antisocial behaviour that looks like it's posing risk, then they would contact SAPOL to have a response.
The other team focuses on a return to country plan, assisting those from outside of Port Augusta to voluntarily return to their land if they're homeless or in overcrowded houses, with over 60 people choosing to leave already.
Short-term accommodation at Lakeview, but there's nothing available at the moment, so we're trying to just help ease the pressure on some of the tenancies.
And this is going to be a 24/7 approach. It's not just going to be during office hours. Late at night, there's going to be a mobile number. If there's some issues in a park or there's some conflict going on, there's a number that can be phoned.
The $1.2 million program will run for at least the next 4 years, with the possibility of an extension. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Business owner and fishing expert Leon Stevens says he likes a challenge, but is thrilled to have been re-elected as the Mayor of Port Pirie Council, uncontested. He shares with us what he's enjoyed about his time so far in the role.
Leon says his first term as mayor has involved a lot of planning and organising for future projects, and he looks forward to watching them unfold.
The second term gives you a chance to finalise a lot of the things, so we've got huge plans in play, and you'll see a dramatic change in Port Pirie and the region from here to the end of the financial year.
There are many things Leon has enjoyed about being mayor, such as meeting and working with new people from all walks of life.
One of the things I've enjoyed immensely is being the conduit between council and government. So that's been really, really good. And just working towards building a better region.
Earlier today, the mayor met with the newly appointed councillors and says he's excited to begin working with his new team. Above all, Leon says what he enjoys most about his role is connecting with the community.
But when you go to school concerts, which we've got coming up right now, and carols by candlelights and all that sort of stuff. They're the times that warm your heart, that you know that you've got a great community.
Leon said only last week he was speaking with probationary constables about why Port Pirie is a great place to live, saying within an hour you can be bushwalking and visit some of the best wineries and beaches in South Australia. Annabel Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Governor of New South Wales is spending 3 days in the far west of the state to find out more about the regional projects. Her Excellency touring the Broken Hill City Art Gallery just yesterday. JoshuaPMercer went along.
Her Excellency, the Honourable Margaret Beasley, accompanied by her husband, Mr Dennis Wilson, have a busy schedule while visiting the Silver City. Yesterday, they kicked things off by visiting the Royal Flying Doctor Service for their Year in Review event, as well as meeting with Foundation Broken Hill to hear about employment opportunities and social development enterprises in the city. Her Excellency and Mr Wilson were then given a tour of the Broken Hill City Art Gallery, with finalists and winners of the Pro Heart Outback Art Prize still showing. The tour also included Mayor Tom Kennedy, City Council General Manager Jay Nenkerville and Broken Hill Visitor Services Coordinator Patrick Kreitner. After the tour, Her Excellency was then taken to the Living Desert as the sun was going down. The itinerary for this trip is very full on, with school visits and meetings with staff and volunteers of organisations such as Lifeline, Staying Home Leaving Violence and Marimar Health, just to name a few. Her Excellency is happy to be back on the road again and engaging with community organisations, schools, as well as business and support services. Her Excellency will be in Menindee for the final day of her trip and will tour Menindee Lakes with the National Parks and Wildlife Association.
Thanks, Josh. Still to come tonight, popular campgrounds across the Eyre Peninsula marked for conservation works. And a special festive guest heading to Broken Hill's picnic train this weekend. Welcome back. Campgrounds across the Eyre Peninsula are set to receive upgrades as part of the Eyes on Eyre project. The campaign aims to support new vegetation and improve the overall camping experience.
Camping on the Eyre Peninsula is set to get a whole new look. The project, led by the Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board, will be carried out over 3 years with the aim of improving popular campgrounds.
Over the last few years, been working up to what we've got now, where we've got lots of councils all keen to make changes to their coastal infrastructure and improve them to better their visitor experience.
The state government's Landscape Priorities Fund will contribute over $700,000 to the project, a range of sites set to undergo conservation works.
Yes, we've got Fitzgerald Bay up just north of Whyalla, we've got Point Gibbon near Franklin Harbour, and we've got Redbanks in the Cleve Council area just north of Arno Bay, a couple of sites down in Lower Eyre at Farm Beach and Greenley Beach.
Increased signage and fencing will be implemented, along with improving coastal vegetation at each site.
So our coastline EP is really fragile, as we all know. We've got these strong winds and sea breezes and all that sort of stuff, and so particularly our vegetation and our wildlife, they're living on the edge a little bit. So if we can limit the impacts on them by making these areas really obvious about where to go.
Council will continue to work with the board to deliver a better camping experience for all who use the areas. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The picnic train is back again this weekend, this time with a very special guest. Santa Claus is set to arrive at Queen Elizabeth Park to find out what the children want for Christmas this year.
It's that time of year again, where a certain Mr Claus comes out to see if everyone has been naughty or nice. His first stop, the picnic train this Sunday.
Oh, it's overly exciting, it really is. This would be, without COVID of course, and the refurbishment of this park, this will be about the 13th year we've had Santa come from the North Pole.
The Preservation Society is no stranger to big names, with the Easter Bunny stopping by earlier this year. The group also held a hugely successful Teddy Bears picnic, and they believe this weekend will be even more popular. They just hope that he doesn't forget his treats for the kids.
More so, I would imagine. This is a very special man in a red suit coming. Yes, exactly. We're hoping Santa will remember to bring his lollies for the children.
Since the train has been up and running again, it has proven to be popular outside of special events. And they are now doing birthday parties, which means there is a need for more volunteers.
Oh, definitely. We definitely need more volunteers. Since the council have done up the park, our birthday trains have become very popular and we're lacking volunteers. Sometimes we only just have enough to run the birthday trains.
If you have time and are interested in helping the Machinery Preservation Society out, all you have to do is become a member and get a Working with Children check. Santa will be at Queen Elizabeth Park this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, the Broken Hill audiologist helping Indigenous children with hearing loss. And how decking out this dog statue can win you an iPhone. Welcome back. Hearing Australia has launched a new program to halve the rate of hearing loss among Aboriginal children by the end of the decade. Tens of thousands of children, including here in the Spencer Gulf, require hearing aids and other treatment to improve their hearing. And a warning, this report may contain footage of deceased persons.
Hearing is something most of us take for granted, but for others it can be a challenge even from a young age. Hearing Australia has launched an action plan to halve hearing loss in Indigenous children by 2029. Broken Hill-based audiologist Rosanna Morrison says there is a disproportionate rate of Aboriginal children suffering hearing problems.
Exposure to passive smoking, their general health and well-being, the nutrition in their diet, which also feeds into remote communities where access to fresh food may be challenging due to distance. We also find that hand washing and sanitation can also have an impact too.
She says ear infections are the most common problem she sees in Broken Hill.
In fact, for a lot of Indigenous children, they become chronic problems. And that causes what we would call a preventable or a non-permanent hearing loss initially. That problem can become permanent with time.
Hearing clinics are available across the Spencer Gulf with dedicated programs.
We actually have our hearing assessment program early years team available at Yadu, which is the Ceduna Kinniba AMS, Yalata, Oak Valley, Port Lincoln, at Pikawika in Port Augusta, Nanyara in Whyalla, and in Point Pierce, at least quarterly.
For more information, go to the Hearing Australia website. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
If you're an established, mid-career or emerging artist, now is your opportunity to showcase your work in a professional gallery for the community to enjoy. Port Pirie's Gallery and Cultural Arts Coordinator has more.
The Port Pirie Regional Art Gallery brings local, national and international arts and culture to the community. And now is your chance to take part.
A really great opportunity for local artists to experience a professional gallery for the first time as well.
Port Pirie and surrounding regions are fortunate to have so many community art groups, and Ursula encourages local artists to apply, saying the gallery can showcase a variety of different art mediums.
Anything from sculpture, jewellery, painting. Recently we've been able to secure some beautiful plinths courtesy of the Jam Factory, so we've got the opportunity to display some precious objects in a safe way as well.
The gallery encourages a diverse selection of artists to apply.
If you're struggling with that application, please come and see me and we can help you apply and make sure that it's going to be the best application and so you've got a good chance of getting a slot in the gallery.
It's free to apply and the application form can be found on Council's website or at the gallery. In the meantime, get creative. Annabel Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A local Whyalla business is getting into the Christmas spirit and handing out something nice to put under your tree. The Whyalla Veterinary Clinic is running a competition where local families can dress the vet's iconic dog statue up in festive clothes. Taking in turns, the family responsible for the best dressed pooch will win a brand new iPhone. Participants must register their interest before the 27th of November to be in the running. Stay with us. After the break, Port Pirie's Mayor reveals his fishing tips for the weekend. And sunny today, rainy tomorrow. We'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Well, he's just been re-elected unopposed as the Mayor of Port Pirie, But as always, Leon Stevens never misses an opportunity to talk about what's biting in the Spencer Gulf. Here's this week's Fish and Tips.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. It's unbelievable. Last weekend nobody would have got out for sure because of the weather was so inclement. I'd hate to have been sitting in an aluminium boat during the lightning storm, but good opportunity to have a crack this weekend and see where we are. The report will be just about the same. So the fish are out deep at the moment. So anywhere through Eastern Shoal, a bit further south, you should be able to find yourself some good feeds around Port Davis and all that sort of stuff, but you will have to work because they're starting to get a bit warmer around the place, and we will have to work for our whiting. When we started looking at it, we told you last week about Checker Buoy, just having a drop in there for some blue swimmer crabs. They are very, very big, I've been told, so have a crack at that. And the lowly rip still got a few yellowtail kingfish on there that you'll be able to have a bit of fun with. So that's all we've got. We hope this weekend I'll get better reports for you and top you up next week when we talk. That's all. See you later on.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Tips this week. The land-based fishing certainly has heated up across Whyalla. Land-based from the foreshore, a few nice silvers there. Coming from Cowlitz Landing, a few nice silver whiting down there. A few mullet and a few salmon trout mixed among them. If you wanted to go a little further south, Menini also holding some good fish. Over at Black Point, some nice salmon schools holding up there. Point Lowly is absolutely riddled in small yellowtail kingfish. They're holding up just off the tip of the lighthouse. You can get them land-based, and there is abundance of kingfish holding up in the Point Lowly Marina. So get down there and have some fun. Best times for those have been middle of the day and later in the evening. There's been a few fish coming in early morning as well. For the boaties, plenty of squid down towards Mount Young still being caught. A few King George whiting around Cowlitz Landing, and also a few King George whiting coming from the Eastern Shoal grounds.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally in the bay here. The whiting reports have been pretty good over the past week, with fish caught down in the proper, up along the North Shore, and also around Boston Island. The trumpeters aren't too bad yet, which is a good thing, and most crew have been moving around a little bit to find their whiting. There's also been some good reports of garfish and a few tommies, especially in Spalding Cove. There's also been a few blue crabs caught, which is good to see. Most have been incidental on whiting lines, but a few have been caught from drop pots as well. And our south coast down in the Lincoln National Park, the surf beaches down there have been a little bit hit and miss for salmon, but the salmon that have been found have been reasonable sized fish around the 3 kilo mark. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, as you'd expect, it's hedging towards those summer species, but it's a little bit slower than usual. Crabs are big and full of meat at the moment. The low tides, they are getting razorfish out in those middle banks as well, and they're quite good. The wind has stirred up the silver whiting, so they've been on the bite in the mornings and the high tides along the shacks, and also around up on the top of Port Patterson. Some mullet can be caught in between those people trying to get some silver whiting as well. But the big news up here, those kingfish, they're really up here in big numbers, up anywhere from the powerhouse, Port Patterson, right up to the old train bridge. So the best bet there is try and get, if you can get one, and then release the rest. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Catch and release, everyone's a winner. But it's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, it was a chilly start to the day in Snowtown this morning.
Maddie, it was 4 degrees there this morning, but felt even cooler than that, but it warmed up to 25 degrees by mid-afternoon. Elsewhere, Port Pirie also reached a maximum of 25 today, 28 degrees in Woodner, sunny conditions, sunny in Kadina as well, reaching 27 today. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, 30 degrees was the warmest temperature recorded today. That was in Cooper Pedy, 27 in Port Augusta, 21 in Broken Hill. Adelaide reached 20 degrees. Port Lincoln topped 19. Taking a look at the satellite image now, another cold front and low pressure system will move over the west tomorrow, then over central and eastern parts on Saturday. A cooler southwesterly airstream will follow and then persist into early next week. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. The Bureau has issued a strong wind warning for the Spencer Gulf tomorrow. Northeasterly gusts up between 20 and 30 knots, seas between 1 and 2 metres, and south south to southwesterly swell below a metre, increasing to around 1 metre. Showers and possible storms in most places tomorrow. Temperature-wise, it's set to reach a high of 26 in Port Lincoln and a high of 28 in Cleve, down to 17 in Woodner tonight, 32 tomorrow. Whyalla, possible storms and 28 degrees, 29 in Port Augusta, down to 16 tonight. Showers and set to reach a high of 28 in Kadina. Port Pirie will see a shower or two and a top of 29 degrees there, between 11 and 22 in Clare. Broken Hill, partly cloudy conditions on Friday, 25 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Saturday's outlook. Showers in most of the Spencer Golf Centres. Definitely not cold though, 32 degrees in Broken Hill, possible showers and 30 in Port Augusta, 29 in Whyalla. Port Pirie showers and 27, 24 in both Kadina and Adelaide. Moving on to Sunday's forecast now, the temperatures will drop a few degrees, but the rain will clear up in some places. Partly cloudy in Whyalla and Port Augusta, 23 and 34. Showers hanging around in Port Lincoln, Kadina and Port Pirie. Sunny in Cooper Pedy, 26 degrees. And finally, taking our first look at how Tuesday is looking. Showers lingering around Port Pirie, Kadina and the capital. 19 in Whyalla and Broken Hill, 21 in Port Augusta. Cloudy conditions around Woodner and 18 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. I'll see you soon with an update. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.